Got it. Okay. Serena.
Coach, you talked about just like getting used to their speed, spacing, and shooting after game one. Is there an area for game two that you feel like is probably going to be pretty drastically different for you guys?
I mean, I hope so. The job that we're going to do defending the three-point line, understanding how important it is to us. And there just were some small things that we didn't do well to help deter some of those threes. They're going to get them up, but we prefer them to be more off the bounce and more heavily contested than what they got the other night. So we're going to try to continue to improve there and all the small things that are going to help us be better.
Hey, JB.
What's up, Chris?
Is Jarrett going to play tonight?
We'll see.
And then with Dean being listed as out, you mentioned that he did some stuff yesterday on the practice floor. What step does he need to take in order to be cleared to play at this point?
Just put consecutive days in, at a level where we feel like he can get on the floor and compete in this moment. Not playing for 8 weeks or so and then trying to come back and play in the playoffs is not easy for anybody. And, it's just important to us to make sure that we take care of his safety and, he progresses to the 1-on-0s, to the contact, the 2-on-2s, those types of things. And we're still working to get him to the contact.
And then Max has been, throughout the course of his career, such a prolific corner three-point shooter. Is there something within the offense that you can do, if anything, to get him more of those kinds of looks as opposed to above the break?
It's the ball movement, right? And it's, once that ball moves through rotations, the corner is the one that typically ends up being the last play or the last pass that's being made. So we need to create more rotations, starting with drive and kick situations or triggers where we catch the ball in the middle of the floor, those types of things. And then the ball movement happens, and then you can get your feet set. But I also think that, like you're aware of that, other people are aware of that too, and they're trying to do their best to not allow him to get those corner threes.
What sort of responsibilities has Jarrett's absence shifted onto Evan Mobley, and what's your assessment of sort of how he's handled that?
The primary paint responsibility, throughout most of the year has been Jarrett's responsibility. They kind of work in unison how our defense is built, where Jarrett is the primary guy that protects the rim, and then Evan is the one that kind of reads and reacts to him, and now that's had to shift for him. His presence on the defensive boards without Jarrett, there's been more pressure on him to do that as well. And then, more involvement on the offensive end of the floor, more pick and roll type stuff, more elbow catches and playmaking, those types of things. And I think he's done a really good job at it. It's been different because, we've had to change because we're smaller around him now. So we've had to do some different things. But I think he's done a really good job of assuming those responsibilities.
Coach, what have you seen from Derrick White? A year ago, there were times where he wasn't even on the court at the end of games with Brogdon and Smart, and now he's making plays and looking for offense for himself. What have you seen his development here? He's been a veteran for a while, but what have you seen over the last maybe year, 2 months, whatever?
I think it's the confidence that you see, and that's the thing when you watch NBA players. A lot of them are similarly talented. But the belief in themselves and the security in themselves, as that grows, that changes people. And you look through the league, like sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. But you see him playing with supreme confidence right now. Some of the shots that that he's taken and making, you wouldn't recommend people take. And he's taking them with belief and confidence and knocking them down. But I think, just watching this team as a whole, winning is such a priority that he's just doing whatever he can to help this team win. And he knows by being this much of a threat, it frees up everybody around him.
What are the biggest differences in playing against them defensively with and without Porzingis?
Again, I think Al Horford obviously does a similar job, spacing the floor, those types of things. I think the height differential makes a little bit of a difference because Porzingis can go play in space, and you can't contest his shot because he is so tall, so that adds even more leverage for him to create. But, I think it's, overall, you got to give Al a ton of credit for stepping in and filling the void while he's been out, using his intelligence. He's a heady player. We know how skilled he is. So I think he's done a really good job of stepping in for him.
You said looking at the Celtics, winning is such a priority. What do you mean by that, and how do you see that show up on the court?
You watch the way they play the game and how unselfish the game is played. They have really talented players throughout their lineup. But they all understand their role, and they all play their role in a way that's just going to help them win. And as you sit back and watch the film and study them, you don't see guys, stepping outside of who they are in a way that it's going to impact other people. They don't mind, a Derrick White, for example, going off, right? If he's going off, they allow him to do his thing, and they feed him the ball and put him in position to be successful, and the other guys become great decoys. So I think you watch them, and it doesn't appear again from the outside that it's about me at all, right? It's about winning, and it's about winning consistently.
Last one for me, I promise. In a situation like Game 1 where you had Isaac being guarded by a 5, what's the message to Isaac in terms of trying to capitalize on that advantageous matchup, if you even consider it that?
He's got to be attack-minded, and he's got to move. I think we saw that where he did a good job of running into screen and rolls, setting the screen. Now he creates separation, and it gave our ball handlers room to attack and create advantages for him. Being able to drive the ball, and attack those bigger, slower guys off closeouts. But I thought he did a great job. The way they were going to play him early, especially in that first half, he was open from 3, and he knocked down his threes. His teammates trusted him to get the ball. So, continue to make the right basketball play. If you're open, take the shot. Try to involve his guy in the action, being creative, moving him around, and then being attack-minded, trying to put the ball on the floor and get to the paint.